vote yes. Venezuela did not vote yes.
The United Arab Emirates, the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, and the United States.
Okay, here we are. It's Saturday, October 8th, and in less than an hour, there'll be a meeting inside that building there, the United Nations, about Syria and the airstrikes on Aleppo. It's been a long time coming. France circulated a resolution. Russia has said it will veto it. France has put it to the vote today at 2:30 with its foreign minister, Jean-Marc Ayrault, on the way. Russia has in turn tabled its own resolution to be voted on right afterwards. Intercity Press has put it online. You can find it at intercitypress.com. So it's going to be, looks to be a double veto of two separate resolutions day. We're beginning here on Lexington Avenue because the UN, not to be cynical, has turned into a circus, voting on resolutions you know will be vetoed. Meanwhile, we have to say this. This happened overnight. In Yemen, the Saudi-led coalition, supported by the United States and the UK, armed by them as well, bombed a funeral in Sana'a and killed, some are saying 80, some are saying more people. This is last night. So these are the allies of the P3 engaging on seemingly intentional airstrikes on funerals at the very same time that this meeting is going to be taking place today. Both should be condemned. But let's see whether there's any mention of the US and UK's ally killing. Now, I just heard on BBC, there's music, so we'll take a brief suspension. This street fair is rocking. Just like the consciences of the P3. If we weren't in such a rush, we'd stay here, rocking out. They were actually just playing Masquerade, which was particularly appropriate. But here's the reality, and one of the reasons we've thrown up this periscope is not just to highlight the circus nature of the UN selectively condemning, but also to say, on the way, we're hoping. I don't know how large it'll be. It might be large, it might be small, and I'm sorry to switch to a third country, but that third country is Sudan, where recently there was a report on the use of chemical weapons in Darfur. There's going to be a protest, at least I was sent the email, a protest from 1 to 4 on 47th Street, calling to conscience the next and incoming Secretary General, Antonio Guterres, on this overly forgotten, once prominent, now forgotten conflict in Darfur, in which now chemical weapons are being used. The one thing that's missed is that one of the reasons that this is being covered up is the UN itself. It's not just Russia and China. It's that the head of the UN peacekeeping, Hervé Ladsous, went before the Security Council and said there's no evidence of chemical weapons, even though his own people hadn't even been able to get to the spot. This is the same Ladsous who said there were no rapes in Tabet because after a visit surrounded by Sudanese army. Horrendous. The current UN is being run into the garbage can. Covered the UN for 10 years, but this year, in his final year, Ban Ki-moon both became more corrupt. I mean, just as one example, giving the top UN job in Kenya to his own son-in-law and signing the paperwork, not even hiding behind a recusal or anything else, and became willing to censor and retaliate against the investigative press, having it thrown out of the building on 2 hours' notice in February, its files evicted in April, its office in the process of being given to an Egyptian state media, and incipiently questions being raised about Intercity Press's ability to ask questions, whether on the second floor with a minder or to the head of peacekeeping, who's covering up the Darfur chemical weapons, by the way, by the elevator, where everyone else asks questions, including aggressive questions of officials they don't like. But the P3 like Mr. Ladsous. Yeah, it's a mockery, I have to say. You know, it's sort of built up to this. But today, the hypocrisy seems to all come together. The stage-managed theater of condemnation of one series of airstrikes, with as of yet no reaction whatsoever on airstrikes by US and UK ally Saudi Arabia.
Chemical weapons in Sudan. UN heroes, chemical weapons in Sudan. United Nations heroes, chemical weapons in Sudan. United Nations heroes, chemical weapons in Darfur. United Nations heroes, chemical weapons in Sudan. United Nations heroes, chemical weapons in Sudan.
That his draft won't have enough votes, i.e. 9, to even draw a veto. Try to get a translation.
Resolution contained in document/2016/846. Submitted by Andorra,
Haven't voted
Australia,
yet.
Belgium, Bulgaria, Canada, Costa Rica, Croatia, Cyprus, the Czech Republic, Denmark, Estonia, Finland, France, Sweden, Georgia, Germany, Hungary, Iceland, Ireland, Italy, Latvia, Lithuania, Luxembourg, Malta, Mexico, Monaco, the Netherlands, Norway, Poland, Qatar, Romania,
China
Saudi
did not
Saudi
vote
Arabia,
yes.
Senegal, Slovakia, Slovenia,
Angola did not vote yes.
Sweden,
Venezuela did
Turkey,
not vote
Ukraine,
yes.
the United Arab Emirates, the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, and the
4
United
have
States.
not voted in favor.
For those in favor
How did
of the
that
draft
go,
resolution
Angola?
contained in
Right.
document
Well, you voted yes.
S/2016/846, please raise their hand.
Кто воздержался?
Seems that Ayrault has left in order to speak at the stakeout. He's got a man with sound there. So we're going to go there because he should answer on keeping head Ladsous a question is going to give rise to some Kafka-esque discipline from Christina Gayach's UN for doing exactly what other correspondents do. In fact, far less than they do. Pure targeting and censorship. Absolutely disgusting corruption of the United Nations. But more on that. Right now we have to do our job.
Et les bombes saudites. Les bombes saudites à Sanaa. Qu'en pensez-vous?
You had expected this veto in the Security Council. You had.
Just a quick question. Do you think, what can you say about what Foreign Minister Lavrov told you? Is there any hope for negotiations?
Nous n'avons jamais perdu national law. Exists international law. We do.
Burundi is leaving the criminal court. Do you have any comment? Le Cour pénal international. Le Burundi s'en va. Qu'en pensez-vous? Qu'est-ce que vous allez faire? Qu'est-ce que va faire la France? C'est ma question? C'est une question en français?
So here we are. The vote has occurred. Inner City Press has been informed that he must stay in this area here, cannot ask questions elsewhere. Others do, of course. That's Ban Ki-moon's UN. Walk out. Duly noted. Can we get more? I think we will.
Is this a good day for you, Ambassador? Sorry? Is this a good day for you?
No, not really. It's a good day for everybody. Some countries lost control of the situation. Now their representatives are losing control of themselves. It's not helpful. But, you know, if you... exchange of views is always helpful. But basically, I'm afraid it was a wasted effort. Because if we had taken some additional time to consult, I'm sure we could have produced a better result. But first of all, they needed to have looked closer at the de Mistura proposal, because in their draft they fully ignore the de Mistura proposal, and it sounds very strange, because it was a very sincere effort from de Mistura to alleviate the humanitarian situation in Eastern Aleppo. The fact that they disregarded his proposal, to me, shows that their idea was not really about Eastern Aleppo, but about pushing their very unhelpful agenda. They are lost. But we are trying to bring them back on track. And as I said in the Council, various contacts continue, so we hope that we can return to a more constructive mode of operation.
Is this the end of diplomacy? Is this the end of diplomacy on Aleppo?
No. It's the middle ground. It's just the end of one very weird meeting of the
How
Security
so is it
Council.
not the end of diplomacy, Ambassador? You have to prove
Ambassador, before you go, do you think there'll be a meeting on Yemen? Have you heard the reports of what's happening?
I heard the reports, but I would have hoped that by the end of this meeting, the British delegation, being a penholder on Yemen, would have produced at least a draft press statement commending the bombing of the morning press session and those who support and supply the people who have conducted this operation. But I'm afraid that may not be happening anytime soon.
Can someone else draft it?
Will you ask for a meeting about Yemen, Ambassador?
As to Yemen, UK didn't answer the question. Ayrault didn't answer the question. New Zealand, to its credit, said that the bombing should stop. Saudi ambassador said he's unaware of the airstrike, which has been reported all over the world for hours now. And just now, the president of the council said that the penholder, UK, hasn't even drafted a press statement of this massive bombing. So we'll see if such a press statement comes out. And duly noted, as you'll see, we asked it on the way in hours ago. We were asking, walk and chew gum. Same thing on France and Burundi. Mr. Ayrault came to talk about Syria, and that's fine, but they're the penholder on Burundi. Burundi's breaking out of the ICC. He was talking about international justice in one country, but, it's just, it is what it is. We're going to put up some more stuff, and the Periscope will revive sooner than you know. It looks like we're petering out over here. If there are any questions... Yeah, Moon, you mean Ban Ki-moon? Give me a break. Ban Ki-moon's been away for 10 days. He was hoping to get a Nobel Peace Prize after having dropped the Saudi-led coalition from the Children in Armed Conflict Annex on Yemen, after having appointed his own son-in-law to the top job in now, believe it or not, having his same Department of Public Information, which threw inner-city press in the street for trying to cover a meeting in the UN press briefing room about the Eng Lapsang bribery scandal, now says that inner-city press shouldn't have asked Hervé Ladsous, the head of peacekeeping, a question on the hall, an elevator outside the Security Council when all other journalists do it. We have footage of it. It's done by everyone. Inner-city press is being singled out, and it's not said who the complainant is. I think we know. It actually might go higher than Ladsous, because Ladsous is low. Okay.